All right, so for this video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the options on finding your best airfare options possible. To do this, we're going to be using one of the websites that I personally find to be the most beneficial, and that is Google Flights. In the past, I didn't even know that it existed, so I was using different places like Travelocity and your different search engines. So you go in, you put in when you want to do your flights and whatever, and they'll do searches for stuff and give you decent rates. The thing is, there's so many of these, Priceline, Travelocity, and whateverpedia. Like, you've got all these different travel sites. They're all giving you different prices and different whatever. Google Flights, from what I'm seeing though, it's just searching through all of these other search engines. You're able to go through and put in a lot of searches, and you can't actually buy your flights from Google Flights. You're putting it in, and it's going to pull up all these other places, showing you where to buy the airline tickets and everything. The reason I like Google Flights is because there are certain search features that you can use if you're a little bit more open to, say, the date or the time that you depart or how many stops. There are so many different ways to filter out your search patterns, or to be able to search for a certain day, but then you can look at a calendar and see all the prices for all the days throughout that entire month. So say you're wanting to leave on February 1st. You're looking at your tickets and, oh, damn, they're like $1,300. You might not know that 2 days later, the price drops down to $900. So this allows you to look and see, like, if I'm willing to go maybe a week, 2 weeks before, or a week or 2 weeks after, like, I can see all these pricing right there. At the same time, you might be moving to the Philippines, but you might be going to certain locations. You might decide, I'm going to fly into Clark, I'm going to fly into Cebu instead of coming into Manila. You can look at the arrival airport and see how those prices differ. It might end up being cheaper. Say you're going to Cebu or Dumaguete or something down south. Instead of just flying directly there, you might see that you can save a couple $100s by flying into Manila and then just getting a ferry or something down to Cebu area. So this is one of those sites that I prefer. And what I'm going to be doing is I'll be using the computer just to show me navigating that website and how to do some of those filtering search options to be able to find better prices. While I'm doing that, I should note that we are still under the COVID quarantine stuff, so there's a good chance that a lot of flight options, a lot of airlines are going to be limited. The pricings are going to be completely off, going to be much higher or abnormal. So we're not looking at that. This is not to show you the actual prices. I'm just showing you how to use the site, how to use these tools to find the best pricing when you are going to be making your flight. So let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, so now we are going to be using Google Flights, www.google.com/flights, and we're going to be using this to be able to find some of the cheaper flight options that are available. Right now, even though I'm in the Philippines, I've set this to US with the US dollar just to make it a little bit easier to compare some of those prices. But let's get into it. So obviously you want to put your departing location, your arrival location. Make sure this is a one-way ticket because we will be using throwaway ticket. For your departure time, nice thing is when you put your departure, when you click on it, you're going to see it start to populate all the all the dates with the prices for the lowest ticket at that time. Right now, we are looking at November 7th. So here in November, we can start looking. Obviously, December, the prices are going to be a little bit different just because of the holiday. One thing I want to stress, we are not focusing on the price of the tickets right now. That isn't the actual concern, because you might be looking at ticket prices 6 months from now, 2 years from now. So the actual price of the tickets is not what's important. What I'm trying to show you is an example of how to find the cheapest tickets for the bracket of time that you are planning to actually leave.
Make sure that you're aware of that. Okay, so considering that this is November, let's just say that we're wanting to fly over here in, say, January. Okay, right now we're just going to go ahead and click on any price. Now it's going to start going through and it's going to start searching for all of the flights that are within my filtered search criteria. You're probably not going to have a specific date that's required for you to depart or arrive. Obviously, when you do start getting your tickets, you want to plan the time that you're out of your house, out of your apartment or whatever to coincide with when you're going to be flying out. But it's usually not a good idea to plan when you're going to be moving out of your house first and then get your tickets based on that timeline, because ticket prices can just be so much different. So if we're wanting to see what those different prices are, you can click on Date Grid, and it's going to show you a slidable grid of what the prices look like. Again, the other option is if you just click the entry date here, you're going to see the full calendar period, and it's going to start going through and showing you all the different prices. You've also got all of your filterable options here, we'll look at in just a moment. But then you're going to start seeing all of your different flights. This is going to be one of the most important aspects for most people, is how long does the flight actually take? Stops, that's not that big of a deal. And then your price. So obviously most of the time people look at the price first. Price isn't always the most important factor, and I'll also explain why in just a second. So here we have this nice little feature that it's going to tell you what the typical price is for those flights. So for the ones that you've got kind of selected, it's going to show you that prices can vary from $495 to $840. If you see something in the green, that means it's a very good deal. You might want to consider taking it before somebody else does. If you start to see things towards the opposite end, especially in the red, don't take it. Unless it's an absolute emergency must-have, that's the only flight you've got, I would try and find a better rate. So when we're looking at our flights, personally, I like to have the shortest duration of flight possible, even if it means paying a little bit of extra money. Here we can see that our cheapest one, this is 25.5 hours. We've got a couple flights here that are 22.5 to 22 hours-ish. Price goes up a little bit for those shorter flights. Not a whole lot. I mean, we're talking 50-something dollars. Not that bad. What's worth more to you? $50 in your wallet, or 3 hours less of sitting on an aircraft? So it's going to come down to that. Another thing is you might be looking at the stops. This one here is going to be stopping in Hong Kong. If you're not interested in that route, this one here, much nicer route, LA to Tokyo. But you can start going through it, seeing other options. Now, some things you're going to see is like, look at some of these flights, 36 hours, 35 hours. That's nuts. If you can get a flight for 22 hours, why would you want to get one 36 hours? Unless it's a major difference in your ticket price. But the thing is, here, I get 22-hour flight for, $550. Here, same price, 36 hours. So why would you ever consider this ticket right here? Why? There's no reason. There's no need for it. You're paying the same price to lose, 14 hours or so of your life sitting in airport terminals on long ass layovers. Like this one's got this overnight layover. Your layover time here, we've got 2 hours here. So, we're not talking about a very long layover there, but here in Seattle, 17 hours of a layover in Seattle. Yeah, personally, I would never take a flight like that. You might want to go through and adjust certain filters. So that's one of those things here. is you have your times. Do you want to arrive at a certain time, or do you want to depart at a certain time? If so, pop that in. Connecting airports, this is the nice one. If I don't want my layovers to be longer than 2.5 hours, yeah, I might even stretch it up to 3 hours, just a little bit, just in case. But boom, I've got that filter. So this is going to get rid of any of those flights that are going to have longer than 3-hour layovers. I can see that really narrows the prices down, or sorry, narrows the flights down, but we can see the prices can get kind of high. So that's something to think about. Like this one here, you know, it's only going to be 21.5 hours. This one's only 20 hours. I mean, some of these are really good, but their ticket prices go up a little bit. So it's going to be up to you of what different filter options you have. Maybe you have requirements on your baggage, things like that. And that's something else that we're going to look at too, is we're going to look at your flights. So when you look at a flight's information, this is just going to show you the general information here. So I can see that these ones, I can see what kind of an aircraft it's going to be on, different important notes or factors that they're going to tell you, like just average legroom. These are very short flights. But you can see what aircraft you're on, what amenities or features or whatever that are on that flight, the travel time, your layover time. You can see all that information right here. If you select the flight, though, you're going to get a little bit more detailed info, such as your baggage rules. You will find some of your flights say that any of your checked bags, they have a fee. Some of the airlines that I was looking at, very, very low cost for the tickets, but then first checked bag, $30. Second checked bag, $40. If you brought a third checked bag, $70. So they start charging you. So for 2 bags, $70 for your check fees. I could have gone back and for less than $70, I could have selected a better flight on a better airline, and I would have spent a little bit more, but overall, when you consider those baggage fees, I would have actually been paying less. So you want to kind of go in and look around and just double check to make sure that you have your baggage, all that stuff is looking like it's good to go. One other thing to think about is here we can see that we have a price. This one, if we're going to book it through Orbitz, so you click on that, it's going to open a page to go to Orbitz for that flight. Now right now this isn't showing up, probably because of the whole COVID. So we'll try the Priceline one, see if that one shows up. But one thing you'll see is that the price that you were quoted on Google Flights isn't always the price you're going to see when you go to book it. And there's a reason for that. This isn't actually selling you tickets. Google Flights doesn't sell anything. They're just giving you the link to the people that are selling it. So when we go here and we're actually going to see the price, the actual I want to buy it right now price, we can see all that. Now, look here. This is telling me that on Priceline, that's $511. But yet here on Priceline, I'm seeing things are a little bit different. Here, I'm seeing the first checked bag is included. Doesn't say anything about a second checked bag. So you're going to have to click on this, open up their baggage fee information to see what's going to happen with that. But as far as this, I can see here we're looking at $504 instead of the $511 that we were showing. But we're seeing a little bit of conflicting information there because on the other page, we're seeing that we get 2 checked bags. This page is showing just 1. This is just taking forever to load, so I'm not going to worry about it, but you get the idea. So you need to follow all the different links, look at all the restrictions, look at your baggage, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, how much extra is that going to cost you for additional bags. Just look at all that information. And if you're really wanting to go through and really play with the filter options, because there's a lot of flights, that's something I would definitely recommend looking at. You can also look at things like price graph. So if you're starting to see that the prices are in like a little dip area, that's a good time to grab your ticket. It's going to be cheaper. If you're seeing that they're like starting to go way up, like right here, this is February. If I kick this back to the December area where we have the holidays, we can see here prices are still, around that price. And then they start going up quite a bit because of the holiday period. And then after the holidays are over, we start to see them dropping back down again. So you can use this feature to really start thinking about what you're going to be doing as far as when you want to leave, what time of day. For some people, that might be a consideration to look at. What time are you going to be arriving? You might not want to arrive at midnight. You want to arrive in the morning time. So there are going to be those various flights, but it could adjust your price drastically. So you really just want to go through and just think about how much are you willing to spend? What are your personal requirements? You might have certain airlines that you don't want to take. If you go in here to airlines, if you see one of those airlines that you're like, hell no, I won't go, I'm not taking that death trap, you can click on it to take them off of that list. On the other hand, if there's certain airlines that you just want to take, you can click on just those airlines that you're interested in, and it will show you those ones. So of course here we don't have that option, but when you don't have COVID quarantines, lockdowns, and all your flights limited all over the world, you're going to have a lot more options. Your filters are going to have uh, more functionality. So hopefully that's going to be useful information on being able to get those flights cheaper. I do apologize if the audio quality or something is not all the greatest, but I'm doing the best I can with the equipment I have available. Thanks.